hope you all enjoyed the video presentation. But once again, I just wanted to say, like, some of the best things about this entire experience was that the fact I had a chance to have a hands-on experience within my field. I was able to work with the 3 project engineers, and I was able to see, like, on a day-to-day basis what I can possibly be doing in my own future. And with this internship, I was able to find an interest that I didn't even know I was interested in, environmental engineering, which it persuaded me being here to pursue my master's degree in environmental engineering, which I found out here that I'm able to use my mechanical background to improve the environment, which I find amazing, and I was so appreciative of having this opportunity. And so I just wanted to thank everybody that has helped me, such as my professors, Dean Glenn here for sponsoring me, and I couldn't have done it without anybody. So I recommend this to all of you guys. If you are interested in this, you can have my contact information, and if you want to know about it, I will give you more information. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoy it.
But this is just an example of the kind of opportunities. How many of you would like to do something like that? All right, so it's out there for you. Anybody have any quick questions? Any quick questions you have about the experience? Anything like that we can ask her? All right, well, let's give her a hand. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on. Just a quick note is that, I talked about the Boston Scientific. That was also part of this AAMU project that we're working on. So that's another company that have internship and sponsorship type of opportunities working with you as well. All right.
Here you go.
So as we move on now, our keynote speaker is Dr. Douglas Deason. Dr. Deason, first of all, was able to step in a situation where the first speaker we had coming in with MDA had a critical situation he had to deal with.
So we need both.
And so Dr. Deason stepped in on his behalf, and we want to thank him for doing that, as well as thank our other speaker, Dr. Burns, for arranging it all. The Dr. Deason leads the Advanced Research Directorate at the Missile Defense Agency with responsibility for the SBIR, STTR program and university and international development of enhanced capability. In his role, that's what he executes. Thank you.
Sorry.
He executes the agency's vision for development of enhanced capabilities for ballistic missile defense system. And during the small and large businesses, consulting firms, and research institution, and the Department of Defense. So his experiences are broad. He's seen a lot, he's done a lot, and he's come to share the benefit of his experiences with you. And when you listen to him, I want you to listen with the idea that this is a pathway you could put yourself on and how you could actually do it. Because we have the motto here on campus at Alabama A&M that is start here and do what? Who knows it? Start here, go anywhere. Start here, go anywhere. So without further delay, Dr. Deason.
How's this sound? It sounds all right to me? Okay, great. Well, go Bulldogs.
All right.
I want to thank you all for the opportunity to come and speak. I was telling the dean earlier when we were meeting that the opportunity to come and talk to young folks is one of the most exciting things I get to do in my job. I work for the Missile Defense Agency. How many people have any idea what that is? Probably a couple, maybe. That's okay. I have to explain who we are just about everywhere I go in the country, so that's okay. Our job is the protection of the United States, our deployed troops, and our foreign allies against the threat of ballistic missile attack. Now, if you pay attention to some of the news and you hear about Hamas and the Israelis and missiles flying, that you may have heard of something called Iron Dome. That is a short-range missile defense system that's done cooperatively between the Israeli government and my agency. What I get to do at the Missile Defense Agency, in working with small businesses and working with the university and working with young folks as part of our STEM outreach, is we do some of the earliest phase research in the agency leading to new capabilities, not in this generation, but in the generation perhaps after next. So we're doing cutting edge research. We've funded some outstanding work here at A&M. We've hired A&M graduates. So it's my pleasure to be here today. So one of the things that we do is we are a 24/7 worldwide organization. When there's issues going on with North Korea, we deploy assets into the Pacific. When we have issues in the Middle East, we go on alert in the Mediterranean and the European theaters. We work closely with our allies such as Israel, Japan, South Korea, NATO, and other allies around the world. We try to work collaboratively and cooperatively with them, but of course, the brunt of a lot of that falls upon the United States. And so that's what our agency does. So we work ship-based, land-based, deployable. You've heard of PAC-3 probably from the Gulf Wars. That's the lowest end system for near-term defense. That goes up to THAAD, which is a regional defense missile system. Then you have ground-based interceptors based in Fort Greely, Alaska, and Vandenberg, and you have ship-based on Aegis cruisers and destroyers, which provide the Standard Missile 3 interceptor. We have satellite assets. We have radars deployed around the world. Some are large fixed radar installations. Others are deployable. We recently went to Denmark to assess a new radar that is being developed there that may have some applicability and help with defense of Europe. So it's an exciting place to work, and we do some great technologies, electro-optic sensors, radar algorithms, modeling and simulation, aerostructures, everything in rocket science. Yes, we are rocket scientists too. Everything from the exit nozzle for the rocket motor to the nose cone. I'm a materials engineer, that's my background. So I've worked on materials for composite materials for nose cones, advanced materials for propulsion systems. So I've got to play in a lot of areas as a technical person before they kind of kicked me upstairs and they don't let me do that anymore. Now I get to oversee a lot of great research work that's being done across the country at universities and small businesses. I really enjoyed your presentation and the video. That was great. That was very exciting. I actually was an intern for the Corps of Engineers myself. A long time ago, I worked for the Corps of Engineers out of Jacksonville, Florida. One of my duties was supporting a drill boat that was assessing the quality of sand offshore, because one of the things that they do to restore beaches is they pump sand from offshore back on shore to stabilize beaches after storms and just kind of part of natural erosion. I got to support that boat either on the boat, or one of my jobs was getting up before dawn and going and putting batteries out where the transponders were so the ship could triangulate. This was in the days before GPS, and we had to do those kind of things. So, but that was a great experience for me, and I think that certainly that experience in Europe must have been just an awesome experience. One of the things I'd like to talk about today is, it may seem a little bit of a dry subject, but I want to talk to you about our perspective as a hiring manager on building your resume and doing the interview process. And after that, I'd be happy to take questions about my career path, the agency, or anything else that you'd like to ask about. Okay, so where is here? Which one are our clickers? that one? Okay, you'll take it? Okay, great. Okay, so here's an agenda of what we're going to talk about today. Talk about first about the resume, formatting the resume, what you could put into it, and what we really kind of think you might not want to put into it. And then talk about the interview and how to apply for jobs. We have a missile defense career development program. We are putting out a posting, we think, in the January timeframe. So if you're a graduating senior or a graduate student looking for employment, particularly with the Department of Defense, we'll be we'll have an opening for, we think, around 60-something engineers come in the January timeframe for starting next summer. So we are a hiring agency, and we'd love to talk to you. So, okay, next. Okay, the whole purpose of a resume is to get to the interview. It doesn't do you much good if it's a very impressive resume, but they go, I just don't think I want to interview this person. They're not telling me everything I need to know to convince me that they would make a great employee and come to benefit the agency or your other commercial employer. Think about the fact that you are trying to make an impression with that resume. Colored paper? No. Nowadays, a lot of the systems are online anyway, so that's kind of eliminated that. But we used to get stuff with perfume on it and come in pink or yellow, and it's like just to try to make them stand out. Don't do that. Don't do that. What we want to see is a logical, informative layout that helps communicate the best attributes that you want to put forward and communicates to us how you'll be a great employee. One resume does not fit all. Back in the old days, when I grew up, before personal computers, we had to literally type out by hand different resumes. So we didn't do many of them. We kind of stuck with one format. Now with word processing, not a problem. You can go and sculpt your resume for a particular job opening. And that is a good idea to do, really. Okay? One of the important things is not to embellish or outright fabricate information that goes on your resume. Because once you're hired, that becomes really a legal document that is the basis for why you were hired. So if later on it turns out that information is incorrect, it could cause disciplinary problems, or it could cause you to be removed from the job. So don't do that. Give us the best story you can about where you are. We expect, if you're coming right out of college, you're going to have some limited work experience. Summers, internships, co-ops, that's exactly what we expect to see. So that's a good thing. Tell us that story. And clearly, looking for all employers, for all openings, take a good look at the position. If you really want to do laboratory work, you don't necessarily want to apply for a job in manufacturing, or that requires you to be in the field, or sit in a cubicle somewhere. Make sure you really look at what is the job opening to the best that you can tell from from the job posting. When the government puts out a job posting, we have openings available. We're kind of restricted in doing that. We don't go through the process and just hope that maybe we'll have some openings if we get some good resumes in. In industry, it depends on the company. The large companies may continuously recruit on an ongoing basis with a hope that they're going to fill needs as they arise in their operations around the country. It's a competitive process. Even for us in our career development program, which is a 3-year rotational assignment program to give you an opportunity to do work in different parts of the agency. We receive literally thousands of applications. So it's important that your resume stand out and that your background comes forth really clearly. So out of those 100 or 1,000, we may see 40, in this case, it's a little more severe. So let's say for the 65 that we're going to be looking to hire. We'll get probably over 1,000 resumes. That'll get culled down to maybe a couple of hundred people that we interview, and then ultimately job offers will be made to the 60 or so that we'll actually want to hire. In the government, we go through a process where the HR people do the first screening. Then it comes to hiring managers, like myself in the technology world. And then we will create a panel of folks from across the agency to represent different perspectives, and we will conduct interviews. For the CDP program, our Missile Defense Development Program, those will be done by telephone. So it's not ideal, but just because of the sheer numbers, it's the only way logistically we can make that work. And to give fairness to people who live in California or Washington or Hawaii or New York, and not folks who are just locally here. Okay? And then ultimately, it won't be the hiring manager that contacts you. It will be the HR representative that will contact you. Okay? Yeah. One of the things on USA Jobs, I heard Ariel mention that, they look for knowledge, skills, and attributes. Those are going to typically be presented in the job posting. Some people would say, don't worry about keywords. Well, in fairness, if you read the description carefully, think about what are the key elements out of that. Try to represent yourself in those key element and key areas of those knowledge, skills, and attributes. If some software sorters that some industries use, that keyword match can help you, but it's not going to help you if you really don't have the skills that they're looking for, because you want to get to the interview, but you'd also like to get to the job offer. Okay. So we'll give scores, and we'll go through the evaluation process to make our selections. Okay. Think about your relevant experience. Think about the relevant education. So we do look at GPA. It's not exclusive. We look at other attributes as well. What courses have you taken? Have you taken basically the bare minimum to get the degree, or have you taken perhaps an additional calculus class? I have to admit, when I went through, I took one calculus class more than I had to. And I kind of got to the point where, okay, I'm done. I got as far as I can really handle. So, identify your qualifications, honors and awards, and take a look at how you can best represent yourself. So, particularly if you're like me, you got a lot of work experience behind you. But if you're coming out of school, we'll look at other things like your extracurricular activities, your volunteer activities in the community, teams, sports, professional societies, things of that nature, okay? So in putting together your resume, this is just some thoughts on it. It's nothing hard and fast. But typically, you want to put your highest degree first. So if you've got your master's degree from A&M, list that one first, and you'll put your bachelor's degree lower down. You want to give as much information as you can in a very concise space about your GPA, the field of study, coursework if it's above and beyond, as I mentioned before. I think that's a good place to put that. If you have a senior design project, it's good to put that title in there as well. And you can indicate, I think it's a good place to indicate whether this was a senior design project where you were doing something as an individual assignment, or were you part of a team that did a concrete canoe or did something, built a robot, what have you. Okay. Qualifications, try to list the relevant certifications, training that you've taken out, maybe perhaps outside of college as well. If you've worked for the Department of Defense and you actually, in a summer co-op or intern program, and you got a security clearance, let us know that. It might make a difference. With experience, start with the most recent first and go forward. And then, put in, if you're part of the National Honor Society, an honorary fraternity or sorority, list that as well. We do look at extracurricular activities. We look at people as team players. Nobody in our agency is indispensable. Nothing gets done as an individual. We all work as teams. We all have to pull together. In our organization, we run a research portfolio. Well, to do that, I have to have some engineers who understand the technology being proposed. I have to have some budget people who understand how the budgets flow and how we set up our budget plans for how we fund the research. I have to have acquisition program management people, like Ms. Kyle Oliver here, who's working with us in university programs. We have to have acquisition people. We have to have contracting officers. So we certainly hire people other than just engineers. So that's all part of a team. So sports and volunteer activities can show how you have developed team skills and teamwork. And if you were a leader of a team,